This section on camera connections is all about things that plug in, hook up, and connect to the camera. We'll be going around the camera and looking at all the different accessories that we can work with. Starting with the most important probably, which is power. We need to have power on the camera. So we have a large battery on this camera. We use the LPE19 battery. This is a type of battery that Canon's used in their 1 series cameras for quite some time. Now there's a couple of older versions of the battery that have varying levels of compatibility. The preceding model, which is the LPE4N battery, can be used in this camera, but cannot be used in the new charger for this camera. The much older LPE4 can't be used in this camera. So if you are upgrading from older 1 series cameras, take a look at your batteries to make sure you know which ones are which. It does come with the LCE19. It's a double battery charger, which is quite nice, so you can get 2 batteries charging consecutively. There is a calibration button that is not on other chargers with Canon cameras. And so what this is it will deplete the battery and then charge it back up. And this is to get the maximum performance out of the battery. Now, the thing is that if you have a fully charged battery and you hit the calibration, well, it's going to take a long time to deplete. And so it's probably better to do this once you've already used a battery and you're at the kind of the end of the power of that particular battery. And then it might be able to get a little bit more life out of that battery. And that light will blink at you if you need to use it. Now, the charger does come with one of those long cables to plug it into the wall. And if you're going to put it on a desktop, that's probably a sensible choice to use. But I tend to like to try to do things in as small a size as possible. And if you want to get one of these right angle adapters, you can use this as a wall charger. It's a little on the big side, but it does actually work. So if you do want to not use that big cable, you can avoid it. If you do want to have continuous power to the camera, there are a couple of adapters, the ACE19 and the DRE19 that you need if you were going to be doing some sort of scientific studio or time-lapse work where you needed to have power all the time and you were going to plug into household power. You can do so with these accessories that are sold separately. On the other side of the camera, we're going to be working with our memory card door and the different memory cards that are available. Now, the primary card, the card slot 1, which is for the CF Express card, is probably what I would recommend for a lot of photographers who want to shoot video or shoot fast frame rates with this camera, because this will give you the most capability with the camera. And so there is a card slot 2 for the more popular SD memory cards, and you can use one or both in there at a time, which can be very handy for backup reasons. Talking first about the secure digital card, be mindful that there is a lock switch over on the side. If this gets bumped into the lower position, you will not be able to record information to that card, and the camera will give you a warning that it is locked up. And that's to prevent images from being reformatted or deleted on the card. So just be aware that that does get bumped fairly easily. We have the size of the cards, which is indicated by the SD or the HC, XC naming of the particular card. The bus speed deals with the number of connections on the back of the camera. It gives you an indication to the speed of the card, but probably more importantly is the speed classification of the card. There are different cards that have different write speeds, and this will become very important when you shoot video. Not quite as important for still photography, but still can be an issue if you shoot a lot of burst images. And so if you are going to be shooting in any of the higher bit rates for video, like 4K and 60 or the RAW options, you're going to want to have a CF Express card or one of the very fastest SD cards that you can get. The CF Express cards at this time are still a little bit on the new side, and this is part of a new form factor. It is going to be available in 3 different sizes. This camera uses the B size of it. Now, this happens to be exactly the same size as XQD cards, but that is kind of something completely different. They chose the same form factor, but they operate in a completely different manner, and they do not work on this camera. And the reason that you may want to be going with the CF Express cards is that they are tremendously faster than the SD cards, even the fast SD cards. And so if you are going to be shooting video and higher frame rates, yes, you want to be using those CF Express cards. Also be mindful that if you are recording video for a long period of time at those high bit rates, the cards will be very hot when you take them out of the camera. So just be careful and be aware of that. All right, looking to the top of the camera, well, we've got a very big rubber shoe. This is the hot shoe cover for the camera. And I'm sure more than a few of you are going to lose this. So you may want to think about picking up an extra before then. Now, one of the key things about this is that you need to have this on the camera if you want maximum rain protection. There are some connections kind of buried in that hot shoe that will be useful for other things, but if you're trying to keep things protected from the rain, you want to keep that hot shoe cover on there. Now, obviously, the main reason for this is for putting flashes on the camera. There are a variety of flashes from Canon. We're not going to go through the details of them here, but they're small, medium, large, and powerful. The better ones have some radio triggering so that you can do off-camera triggering of flashes and working with them in groups, which is kind of fun and very creative. One of the tools that I have found very helpful is the OCE3. If you are wanting to get the flash off the camera, whether you're into macro photography or you're doing event photography where you might have your camera and flash on a bracket, that way when you go from horizontal to vertical, the flash remains above the lens, which can help improve the quality of your flash photographs. That cord is necessary for maintaining the TTL connection between the body and the flash. Now, as I mentioned before, and I will mention a few times throughout this class because it's important to know, the flash sync speed changes depending on whether you are using the mechanical shutter, the electronic first curtain, or the full electronic shutter. So the greatest range is going to be with the electronic first curtain shutter where you get up to 1/250th of a second, which is kind of a standard of professional cameras for many, many years. Now that multifunction shoe on the top of the camera will allow you to put in multifunction accessories. So currently Canon has a microphone, a smartphone adapter, and a speed light transmitter so that you can trigger flashes without actually having a flash on your camera. Interestingly though, if you put a kind of standard flash on there, it is no longer weather sealed. And so you need the ADE1 to complete the weather sealing. Now I'm doing a test. I have a 580EX2 that I mounted on there and it seemed to work fine firing the flash. So it does work, but if you want the full weather sealing, you'll want to use this other adapter. All right, next up is the ports on the side of the camera. Lots to talk about over here. First up, the microphone jack, your standard 3.5 inch or 3.5 millimeter mini jack. And this is so you can hook up external microphones like Canon's DM-E1 or many other brands that you can plug into the hot shoe, or at least mount on the hot shoe and plug in here to the microphone jack. The headphone jack is a standard 3.5 millimeter mini jack, so you can hook up your headphones and monitor sound so that you know you're getting proper sound. Next up is the PC terminal. This is the old school flash synchronization. Once again, PC does not stand for personal computer. It is the type of connection, and this is going to be used in studios in some cases for hooking up to different types of studio lighting. All right, our next door, we start off with a cable protector. There's a little place where you can screw something in, and the camera comes supplied with this cable protector. If you are working with the camera tethered, occasionally cords tend to fall out of the camera and that causes lots of problems. So if you want to more securely attach those cables to the camera, you can do so with this cable protector. Just be very careful about tripping over those cords. The USB Type-C connection is where you could download images directly from the camera, or you can plug in and power and charge the battery. Now you do need to have a power delivery cable. Now, having a lot of cables myself, I can tell you that some cables work and some don't. It depends on if they are designed for delivering power. And so if you plug this into a device and it doesn't work, you may not have the right cable or you may not have the right device for delivering power to the camera. It does work with the right types of device. Canon sells a device called the PDE1, a little on the pricey side in my opinion, but it does deliver power to the camera. It is made by Canon and it does work very well, but I have found other cables that do also do the job, but for far less money. There will be a little light on the back of the camera that lets you know that power is being delivered and you'll know if it's working or not working. Next up is the HDMI output. If you want to send video out of this camera, you can send 422 10-bit output video out of this. So if you have an external recorder, you can mount that on a cage or on the hot shoe on the camera, and you can record video coming out of there or hooking up to a monitor to see what your camera is doing. Micro D type connection. And finally, we have an Ethernet connection down here if you're going to be doing tethering and you want to transfer images in the fastest possible manner. The Ethernet cable is the way to do that. One more little connection on the front of the camera is our remote terminal. It's an N3 type, which means we have the TC80 N3 if you want a basic cable release for triggering the camera. Very good when working from a tripod. If you want a little bit more advanced cable release that has a few more extra functions and features, the RS80 N3 is one that Canon has had around for quite some time, and that works in here as it does a lot of other more advanced Canon cameras. All right, as far as the lens mount, we have our lens release button and our lens release pin. Make sure you hear that clicking when you mount the lens on the camera. We have CPU contacts that connect up and transfer focusing and aperture information in the camera. And be aware of that shutter at lockdown. I talked about this before. When you are taking the lens on and off, you want to make sure that this feature is turned on so it closes the shutter so that when you take the lens off, the shutter is closed. And so once again, when you turn the camera on and you turn it off, you'll hear a little click right there. And so that means it's safe to take the lens on and off. You have your lens release pin over here on the right-hand side, and that hits a little slot in the lens so that when you hear a little click, you know that you have mounted the lens on properly. Hasn't happened so far. There we go. And then the shutter will open up and you're ready to take photos there. All right, so there you go. Those are your camera connections on the R3.